Hey guys, I'm really excited for today because today is the day you actually get to start doing your own creative story for the project. So let's talk about how you're going to do this and give you some quick instructions, and then I'll have you guys get on your way. So the very first thing is a couple things that you guys need to know is that you need to have already completed these brainstorming slides from last Thursday. So if you're looking at this and you're like, oh God, what is that? Go to last Thursday and take care of Thursday student work before you come back to today. Moving on, assuming you've already done this, you will already need to do that. You guys have 3 days to do this project. You have today, you have tomorrow, and you have next Tuesday to work on, to finish, and to turn in your project. So it's only 3 days to work on it, so you'll need to use your time wisely. So for today, after you watch these instructions, you're going to need to open up another tab with your story retelling project. You can find this in your Google Drive. So if you go to Google Drive, it'll be one of your more recent things, or you can just type the word in like project planning or like rubric, and it'll pop everything up. Then you guys are going to use the rest of your time after you watch this video to actually start creating your project itself. So let's talk about like what you do and how you get there. So the very first thing is you're like, oh my gosh, can you stop flipping back and forth, strip matter? You're giving me whiplash. I'll try. So last Thursday, you guys brainstormed some stories and some what if questions. Hopefully, ultimately, you decided on a story that you wanted to retell, and you decided on what you want to change about it. Whether you want to change the setting, like where or when it takes place, or you might change the point of view, who's actually telling the story. You also would have done some of the daydreaming stuff here where you were just brainstorming random things that would happen with your story with that change that you decided on. Then you would have decided on what type of project you want to do. So your choices are a kid's book, Instagram, doing a movie pitch on Google Slides, or creating like creative writing on Google Docs or on paper. So if you guys look over here, last Thursday, we just pretty much used slide 1 and slide 2, which are the ones that you guys like actually write on. Slide 3 and slide 4 are for you guys to do well in the project, to know what you need to do. So this is going to have on slide 3 on your slides, it's going to have what you need to do to make a 100 on your project. So let's say you choose a kid's book. You're like, well, how long does it have to be? What about pictures? It tells you all of that criteria right here. Same thing with Google Slides, same thing with creative writing and Instagram. So please make sure you go to your slides and you read the criteria and you're following all of those. For how your teacher is going to grade your project, we're going to be using a rubric, which is on slide 4, which is right here. So for this, basically all of these are worth like a certain amount of points for each one. So for the content, for each student's content, I'd say, hey, did they do really good choosing content, or is it kind of random and I don't think they put a lot of effort into that content? So you'd get a score between 20 and 0. So basically the idea is that all of these scores are going to add up to the total at the bottom. So let's say you'd get a 20 point on content and 10 point on completeness and 20 all the way, like all the rest of the way down. So you'd say 20 plus 10 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20. So you do end up making a 90 on that project. The reason that you guys have this rubric attached is to see how you'll be graded. To know if something's complete, that's what slide 3 is for. Do you have everything that was asked of you? So this is how we're going to be grading that project ultimately. Okay, enough of that. So let me show you guys some examples really fast. Today I want to show you an example of the Google Slides, the creative writing, and the Instagram. So you just can kind of see what it looks like. So the very first thing I want to show you guys are some student examples from last year of the movie pitch, Google Slides. The idea is you are going to try to sell this new story idea to Hollywood if you pick this one, and you're going to actually retell that story using slides. Let me move my picture over here. Okay, so this one was called The Better Salad Fingers. I don't know if you guys know about salad fingers. It's super creepy. So in the first couple of slides, basically he was telling me what he changed about salad fingers and how we could improve it. And then he's trying to like explain how we can turn this into a movie. You'll notice he doesn't have a lot of pictures of salad fingers, and that's okay. As long as your pictures are related to what is on your slides, you're good. So he's using different slides to talk about like what's going to happen. I remember this was really disturbing. Something about a kamikaze helicopter. That's all I remember. So here's another example. This was, this student liked to like sort of layer pictures for his. So he ended up using the slides to actually tell that story. So it's kind of cool the way he was able to use GIFs and speech bubbles to do stories. Here's another example. A student took the story of Black Ops and they wanted to make the movie adaptation for it, but they had to change something. So the first slide talks about what they're actually changing. So it's told by the villain's point of view. So the rest of these slides talk about how it would be affected if we looked at like just the villain's point of view. So those are going to be the slides. So an example for the creative storytelling, I'm actually going to pull from a book. That book, I actually have that book right here. It is called The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales. It's a book that's full of fractured fairy tales. So here's an example. If you would like to pause the screen to read this story, you can. It is a great mentor text. I'm looking for about a page of story of you retelling the story. The story that it's retelling is The Princess and the Pea. And the idea is it starts the same way. So it starts, once upon a time, there was a prince, and the prince's dad and mom, so the king and queen, somehow got it into their royal heads that no princess would ever be good enough for their boy unless she could feel a pea through 100 mattresses. So the story goes with the princess and the pea that eventually, you know, they find a princess who can feel the pea. However, plot twist in this story, it's told from the prince's point of view. And he falls wildly in love with one of the princesses, and he knows she is never going to feel a pea. So he sneaks in there at night and he puts a bowling ball under the mattress instead. And she totally feels the bowling ball. And so the next morning she wakes up and she said, it might sound odd. That's what she's telling the king and queen, but I think you need another mattress. I felt like I was sleeping on a lump as big as a bowling ball. So the prince and the princess lived happily ever after, and they thought that she could feel the pea. So that's a really cool example of a fractured fairy tale. Let me pause the video for just a second. It'll be just a moment for you guys to pull up the Instagram example. All right, guys, so here is an Instagram account that was created as an example for a fractured fairy tale. She was doing a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, where it's told from Little Red Riding Hood's point of view, but this time she is like the monster. So the posts start at the bottom. So for each post, you guys would upload a picture that you feel goes with your post, and then you guys would like add some posts. So this is actually Instagram, real Instagram. So you basically have to like create a Finstagram. If your parents are not okay with social media like Instagram or not okay with Instagram, don't do this one. So she's like, I don't want to see my grandma. She's making me visit. I don't want to. I hate her so much. She's got pictures of like the devil. She talks about how she doesn't like her grandma and she's going to like do her in. It gets really dark. And so she's basically like the wolf. So Red Riding Hood is the one that like takes out the grandmother. So that's her Instagram. She knew how many posts to do, like minimum, because that is what was on this, on the project planning and rubric. That was what was on here. So you need to create 15 to 20 posts to tell your story in picture format. You have to have captions to be able to tell the story from that point of view. Yeah, so a kid's book can be done, whether it's on Google Docs or you could, I would prefer or recommend doing it on paper. Your creative writing storytelling can be on Google Docs or on paper. Movie pitch is always on slides, and Instagram is obviously on Instagram. So what you guys are going to work on today is ultimately, once you know exactly what story you're using, what you're changing, and which one of these options you're doing, you're going to go ahead and begin your project. For some of you guys, that'll look like getting a sheet of paper and writing, or creating a book and folding paper. For some of you guys, that'll look like starting up an Instagram account, or even like starting your Google Slides. The goal is for you guys to work for about 20 minutes today and see how much you guys can get done. If you have any questions, as always, message your teacher. Have fun. Get started. You got today, tomorrow, and Tuesday. Ready, set, good luck, have fun, go.